Well, that's pretty disappointing. That servo's damaged, obviously, right?
And welcome to the Philip Cockrum channel, viewers. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. It helps this channel grow, and it helps me bring you these great videos that we all love. So on today's show, unfortunately, we've got a repair for you on my brand new E-Flite A-10 Warthog. So after just 2 landings, I seem to have a little problem here with the flap servo. And I'll show you here what's going on. So as you can see, it's in the neutral position right now. And when I put my flaps on, it goes like that. And it won't stop until I give it a little bit of a help there like that. That side's okay over there, you can see it. So it won't even go down into the full flap position. It just does that in the first position there. So there's obviously something wrong with the flap servo that's underneath there. So we're going to do that repair. Just before I get to that, I'll show you the footage of the 2 landings so you can judge for yourself whether or not you think they were hard on the plane enough to damage that servo. I don't think that they were.
Right off the throttle there right now. Nice. Well, another nice landing. Peace from Canada. And we are YouTube. Well, that's pretty disappointing. That servo's damaged, obviously, right? Now that's 2 flights on this plane. And watch when I put the servo on for the flaps, right? And you saw those landings, guys, right? Did I do anything hard for that plane for that to damage those flaps like that? I don't think so, right? So that's just crappy quality. It's a bad servo, obviously. It happens from time to time, but I've had this plane for over a year too, right, before I unboxed it. So I don't know if they'll honor the warranty on that or not, right? I'll try. But we'll see. You know, it's no big deal. It's just a servo. It's not the end of the world there. It's just, that's pretty disappointing on 2 flights on this plane and the servo goes. You know, come on, E-Flite.
Because I didn't do an unboxing video on this, I thought, you know, it's been around quite a long time. I think a lot of people have seen it, right? But there are a couple of things of note. So one of them would be battery placement here. That's as far forward as I can go because this is your CG here, like 55 to 70 millimeters in between these 2 marks, right? So forward and a rear one. And you don't want that 4,000 milliamp battery any more forward than that. In my opinion, and I've seen quite a few other people's videos were the same like that. And then as far as the assembly goes, it's really super easy, even though you do have some gluing. Sorry, the battery's still connected there. So you've just got the 4 bolts, and it's got this plug underneath that goes together, right? So just quickly on the tail section here, so I did watch a few other videos and saw quite a few people struggling with this here, right? So what I did is I put a little piece of tape around these 3 plugs that are underneath here, right? And there's not a lot of room, and they really have to go inside the fuselage in order to fit the tail down easily. So one of the wires that's connected to this was quite loose up here in the behind the radio compartment, behind the battery. So I put a little piece of tape on those wires here, and I gently pulled that wire up through here, and they just slid right up inside here, right? I was ready to help here with some little bit of tweezers, but it just glided right inside, and then so the tail just went right down, perfect, nice and easy, no struggling, no issues at all. Right. Once you glue that tail in there and the 2 rudders on, you know, the rest of this plane is really super easy, right? So you can see it just goes on with the plug system there and the 4 screws, nice and easy. Okay, stage 1 of the surgery here. So I was trying to be as careful as I could, but I did end up taking a little bit of the tape up here. It looks like this is just glued down, and our wire comes right up underneath here, all this stuff, and it comes to here's where our plugs are. So it's underneath this piece of tape that's just in front of our multi-plug system here, and these guys are tucked in there pretty good to fit in there, but I'm pretty sure there's our flap one down in there, so this is where I'm going to have to get to. And there they are, right down at the bottom of all of those things, with two plugs that say flaps on them, obviously one going to either side. So just figure out the side that we're on and go from there. Okay, so the servo is glued in underneath there. I undid the horn from there, and with a little bit of a tug there, I was able to identify which plug it was here. You can kind of see it going underneath there, but so I've already pulled it back a little, so we'll see if it comes out of there. All right, well, it needed a little poke around the kind of edge there, but it's coming. It is kind of coming out. Okay, so we've got it out. It really didn't want to come underneath this little piece here either. This is a hard piece of plastic where your ordnance goes on, so I had to poke it down underneath this piece to get it out, but there it is. And with our servo tester going here, as you can see, it's just, this thing should be moving, and it's not moving. It's junk. Alright, so here's a new servo here. I'm putting in a Metal Gear digital one, right? I've already tested it out, and I put the arm on it already here, and so I've got a little wire connected to it to help fish it through here. So we'll see how this goes, and it's got to get up into here as well. So we'll do that. So you got to fiddle around there with it, but this does work. You got to take your time and be patient. There's our fishing line there. Just a bit up underneath there. Kind of does a little turn here, so I need to get the Twizzlers out. Yeah, it just looks like it needed a little poke there. There we go. There's our wire through. I'm going to test it again before I glue it in. Do a hard test here. So I'm going to connect these wires back up, tuck them back in. I'm going to assemble the plane back together, and I'm going to test it all through here too, because I want to make sure everything is okay. I'll test this here briefly again with the servo tester just to make sure I haven't damaged the wire pulling it through, but I want to make sure that the whole plane works all together. That wasn't too bad to tuck that stuff back in there. There's quite a big cavity underneath here for those plugs. Forgot to mention too, this little plastic cap thing was here. It's kind of added security for the wires here. It was glued down there. I had to pry it up. So we'll glue that back down and all this stuff when we're done. Okay, we're all done. Everything worked out good. Before you glue your servo back in, make sure that your horn is screwed on in the right spot. So make sure you put your screw in there as well. But you're going to have to kind of put the servo right in that position to make sure that you've got it on the right spline of the gear before you put that in. So make sure you double check that. Don't just glue it down in there. Yeah, I tucked away all the wires and put the tape back in. I glued that little piece back down in there, so everything looks good. It's working well, no sounds, all good. So we're back in business. So that's our show for you today, folks. Hopefully you won't have to do this repair, but in case you do, hopefully this video helps you out. So that's our show for you today, folks. Love and peace from Canada, and we are YouTube.